start off tonight's meeting. Number one, roll call, please, from Mrs. George.
Greg DeMassier.
Here.
Karen Thompson. Here. Harry McGee.
Here.
Deborah Bacon. Here. Jen Shipley.
Here.
Graham Waters.
Here.
Nicholas Clark.
Here.
Okay, and Mr. Screaman, if you'd be so kind to lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Invocation, just for a second, if we bow our heads and, dear Lord, we ask for your guidance here tonight. We ask for your blessings for our service officers around the world as we give our condolences to the victims of the terrorist bombing in Spain, the two bombings in Spain, and we pray that the missing Navy officers from the collision, the oil tanker, are found and safe. This we ask in your name. Amen. An emergency evacuation plan, please.
Okay, for an emergency, whoever's in the rear and just go to your right or left. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. President's comments. First, I'd like to, I'm loud, but I was going up that way. Mention that the town has vacancies on boards and commissions. Mrs. George, of course, has advertised the vacancies, both in the Times reminders and on the website, but for the record, there is a vacancy currently on the Planning Commission. There are two vacancies currently on the Sewer Subcommittee. There are two vacancies on the Patuxent River Authority Board. One vacancy on the Kent County Water Authority. One vacancy on the Historic District Commission. And two vacancies on the Coventry Land Trust. So if you are interested, or if you know anyone else that might be interested, we encourage you to apply to the town. You could see Mrs. George or on the website. What our goal would be is to begin interviews at next council's, September 11th, before the council meeting. And then, where appropriate, make some appointments. But we just want to give a couple extra weeks for anyone else that hasn't applied or might know someone that wants to apply to do so. That's the first announcement. Second, being that on behalf of the council and the town, we want to wish all our Coventry students and families a successful upcoming school year. I know it's about ready to begin in a couple of weeks, and it'll begin before our next council meeting on September 11th. So we wish a very successful school year. I know last year was, and we're hoping this year's as good or better from all grades, from K through 12. And lastly, again on behalf of the entire council, we want to wish all Coventry residents a happy and safe Labor Day weekend, which again is coming up September 1, 2, and 3 before our next meeting. So as far as my comments go, I'm going to leave it at that. Next on the agenda, Mrs. George, I guess we have the certificates of recognition on the completion of the CERT team basic training for May, it says 2016 if that's correct, and then June 2017. So Mr. Waters, will we turn it over to the chiefs? Chief McDonald, if you want to come forward, I have the proclamations here for the, I think it's, is it 7?
7?
I believe it's 7, I got
There's 6 for sure.
We have 6 of them here tonight.
7, 8. I actually have 8.
We have 8 certificates. We have 6 members that are here tonight
Okay.
present to receive the certificates. So this is the second class that Bob and I have taught as a CERT team. Bob is also a program manager for the CERT team and a CERT team trainer. So this is the second class we've done. It's the 3rd and 4th class total that's gone through the program. And CERT is the Community Emergency Response Team for the town of Coventry. And Chief McDonald, Colonel McDonald has some words to describe that.
I just wanted to just let everybody know what the CERT team was. We wanted to make everybody aware of the program itself. So it's a community emergency response team. It educates our volunteers about disaster preparedness for hazards that may impact the area and trains them in basic disaster response skills like fire safety, light search and rescue, team organization, and disaster medical operations. CERT offers a consistent nationwide approach to volunteer training and organization that professional responders can rely on in disaster situations, which allows them to focus on more complex tasks. Through CERT, the capabilities to prepare for, respond to, and recover from disasters is built and enhanced. So they're a big part of our team. I want to thank Chief Katie and Bob Petraka, who will be taking over the program for the chief as he moves up to Western. It's their program. They do everything. So I appreciate it as the emergency management director. The volunteers are a big part of what we do.
Well, thank you, Colonel, and both you gentlemen, Chief, and congratulations, I think, are in order.
Thank you.
You have taken over the Western Fire Department, have you not?
Yes.
Okay, well, congratulations. I read that.
Thank you.
And best of luck to you.
Thank you.
And thank you, sir, also for your service. I know it's very important. And these are volunteers. All Coventry residents, I assume?
Right now?
Yes.
Right now, we're opening it up to outside residents. But
Okay.
These are all Coventry.
All right. Very good. And I have 8 here to read. I guess would Mrs. George will just bring them all up at the same time and read one, and they're all basically all the same, I think, on the wording. So if you could get the 6 that are here, and just meet me up here on the front stage. Thank you. Well, good evening. I know some faces, and I welcome all the other faces I might not know. I'm just going to read one, and let's see, is Mary here?
Right there.
Okay, and then I'm going to hand them to the chiefs, and then they can get them out to you. But this is the Town of Coventry, State of Rhode Island, and Providence Plantations, a certificate of completion in honor of outstanding performance. The Town Council, on behalf of the Town of Coventry, presents this award to, and in this case it's Mary Cardo, and all others, for completion of the Town of Coventry's CERT, C-E-R-T, Community Emergency Response Training, Basic Training Program. It's May 2016, is that correct?
We have some May, some June.
I see, okay, so some dates, so that's accurate, great. In testimony whereof, and on behalf of the Honorable Town Council, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the Town of Coventry to be affixed this 21st day of August 2017. Glenn Shirley, Town Council President, Town Clerk, Cheryl A. George. And again, I wish to thank you all and congratulate you all. And again, it makes the community better and stronger and safer. And I know it was a number of hours they went through. I didn't think I heard the number of hours. Approximately?
It's roughly 20 hours of training.
Okay, over a period of weeks, right?
It took us about a month and a half.
Okay.
5 to 6 weeks.
That's how I remember it from, God bless my friend Bill Hall. And years, I think he coordinated that program here. So, well, I know this one's going to you. And the rest, I guess, you can get out if you would. And congratulations again, to all of you. I could have called those names. They could step forward, I'm sorry, I should have done it. Yeah, call the names out loud if you can.
Mark Giacolucci.
Woo!
Paul Mattson. And Helen Quinn. And our two members who couldn't make it are Gail and Steve Thurston.
Very good. And if you might come around and just shake hands with the council members, they'd love to shake your hand. And thank you for your help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thanks, thank you, congratulations. I like the shirt. Thanks, Carl. I didn't know you were going for this. You and the bride. Thanks, Al. Thanks for your Okay, if we could move along then on the agenda. Next item on the agenda, I would like to ask for approval for the town council minutes of the meeting July 24th, 2017. And if I could have a motion to that effect. And do I have a second? Are there any comments regarding the minutes? Okay, hearing none then, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. And if we could ask our graduates for a moment of, or I should say, if we can continue. And again, thank you again for your volunteerism and your service. Hopefully, we'll not have any hazardous situations this winter, but you always want to be ready. All right, council updates. Mr. McGee, we'll start with you, sir. District 3.
I have nothing in District 3. I just want to wish everybody a happy and safe Memorial Day weekend coming up. Labor Day, I'm sorry, Labor Day weekend. I got to mix up. But anyway, wish you all a safe holiday, and everything's going pretty smooth in District 3, which is nice. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Mrs. Bacon, District 5.
Hi, yes, I do have a few things.
Okay.
I just want to ask my fellow council members, did you receive the petition from Coventry Drive residents regarding the sewer program?
Yes.
Okay, I was just hoping that maybe in September we could get a maybe work session on the agenda. They are very concerned about this project and would like some answers. They've sent quite a few questions. I can submit them to Graham or to Glenn if you would like, if we could possibly have a work session in September. That would be wonderful.
Okay. Excuse me?
If the council so desires.
Right. I could entertain it anyhow, and we'll consider it.
Terrific.
Okay.
Thank you. I do have others. This one is kind of an icky subject. We have in District 5, and I don't know if the other districts are having issues with this, but the surrounding neighborhood, a couple of streets by 75 Airport Road, are experiencing a lot of mice and rats. So, yes, how rats came to Coventry, I don't know, but this area, they don't have rubbish cans, they don't have recycle cans, but they have rats. So I'm hoping that maybe we can, if these are active now, these pests, I don't know what it's going to be like in the winter, but I just want to know, how did rats come to the town of Coventry and get into an area that they don't have food? I've been in these homes, they're immaculate. It is very clean down there, and I'm not sure what is going on, but it's horrible. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. I don't know if anyone else in any other districts are having.
Not that I've heard of.
I haven't heard anything about it.
Okay.
Thank you,
Certainly, it's a concern.
Yes, it
If
is.
it's in one district,
It's
the
gonna
next
start
district,
moving,
yeah, right.
exactly.
Exactly. I know that, and I do know that Cranston and Warwick have had these problems, not to mention Providence.
Yeah,
And we're not far away, but these rodents and rats must be traveling for sure.
I
I
can,
don't think they're coming in by truckloads, but you never know.
I don't know, but I
So,
can tell you that my daughter and I, having breakfast one morning, a rat was on my back deck.
Oh,
So up on Catalpa Way, so thank God they're not in my house, but yes, very expensive. The cost has been quite a bit for some of the folks. I also, there is another issue. We've had the paving project began. That began on August 8th. And one of the concerns I have is that we awarded the contract to Pastiak Asphalt. One of the concerns that you had, does he have all the equipment to be able to do the project? Well, unfortunately, he's leaving his equipment all throughout the residential neighborhoods. So when he started, he was leaving equipment on White Oak Court, Tallwoods, Arbutus, then away on Rustic Way, Butternut Drive, Winterberry Drive. He was not putting any reflective cones around the equipment. These streets do not have any street lights. I've also witnessed, coming by my house several times, the rollers traveling along Catalpa Way without any type of an escort. I've had a backhoe traveling. I've had trucks with extended trailers traveling in front of my house. My street's not part of it, so I don't know why. I've also seen the backhoe travel down Catalpa Way Reservoir, take a left onto Route 3 and travel to the middle school. I've also, leaving my neighborhood, I saw the roller travel along Reservoir Road, take a right onto Route 3, travel up Route 3, and go into Wood Estates through Wisteria Lane. Again, these are some concerns, but I have a lot of concerns that he's leaving all of his equipment throughout the neighborhoods. And now once they get into District 1, I know those roads are they're very narrow, so I'm not sure how that's going to work out. So that's one of my concerns. I've addressed that with the town manager, and I've addressed it with the colonel.
If I may, because that is a line of work that I do.
I know.
It's very customary to have machines parked in the neighborhood. The only thing I heard wrong out of the whole thing was there should be reflective cones around the equipment to make sure people see them. But every company will leave their equipment in an area, a wider street. It's not feasible for anybody to pack their equipment up and leave. So it's common practice to leave their equipment and to move their equipment around on the job. However, if they're going on the main road, they should have a police escort. If they're going, driving a rule on the main road. But the only thing they do, which is probably an easy fix, just talk to the engineer and make sure that they put cones on, on their equipment. It should be done. It's pretty sandy. They should put cones on for the safety of the people. But,
Yeah, I know when we had Reservoir Road done, Miozy did that roadway. He did not leave any equipment along
well,
any
the
of
shop
them.
is right there.
And
That's
so
why.
is Pastiak's shop. It's right there.
Yeah, you're right. His shop is right. If it's right close by, he should be able to drive it right to
You
his
should
shop.
be able to
But,
drive it over there.
I know when he's been over here on Maple Street, and I haven't noticed any equipment, I haven't heard anything about equipment over there, but they've that far, he's not gonna bring his equipment back to the shop. They will just leave it in an area where they have, a few streets to do, so, but they definitely should put cones on.
But I think, leaving equipment, right in front of stop signs, right behind people's driveways, that is a concern. And especially given these dark neighborhoods, we're lucky nothing has happened. So that's just my district update.
We certainly can get them the word through our town manager and our director of DPW and our town engineer. It's been so noted, so I think the sooner the better. Reminding them of the council's concerns, and hopefully it can be corrected.
As the concerns have come forward, I've passed them along to the
Okay.
public works directors. I've asked them to have cones around the
Very good. Okay,
pieces of equipment.
all right.
Reflective cones.
I-
So when you come around, because I know that they put these little tiny cones that my kids used for soccer when they were children. How about reflective cones or barricades, as it does state in the RFP?
Mr. McGee, reflective cones, please.
But I do want to know it, because in the RFP, it does state that the town needs to give permission. So I guess someone from the town did give permission for this to happen, so.
To place the cones or?
No, to place the equipment.
We'll have to look into that.
So, yeah, so I would just like to understand why. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you. Mrs. Carlson, District 1.
Okay, real quick, two little things. Glenn already announced that Jim Cady is our new fire chief. He is
I'm
a,
sorry.
that's okay. He's a full-time fire chief, which is exciting for us because it's nice to have a full-time chief. I think it's going to be great for the department. It's time for that, you know, I really think it is. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to just read something quick from Pat Morgan that I thought was kind of interesting. You know, I'm sure everybody has heard about the proposal of a 53% rate increase from National Grid. And when we talk about renewable energy, green energy, permitting, turbines, solar arrays, it's kind of interesting what she has to say. Rhode Island has the third highest electricity costs in the country already. That's before the heavy cost to subsidize deep water wind hit our bills and before the cost of our aggressive expansion of solar and wind projects are added. Those projects are 3 to 4 times more costly than gas generation. Now this rate increase will be piled on average folks as power plants are shut down. It's going to harm everyone, but especially those on fixed incomes. Remember the good news, Rhode Island has the second lowest carbon footprint in the country. We have a very high cost of living that is hurting residents and businesses alike. State leaders need to take actions that will lower that burden. Average families are strained already. They deserve better. So if this impacts you or someone you know, and if you are concerned about the high cost of our power in this state, I suggest you write your legislators and let them know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Lebelsonier, District 2.
The only thing I've talked to a couple of people who are very happy that the road projects have begun, so we'll make sure that the equipment is situated appropriately.
Okay. District 4, couple of just general announcements. We've been invited to a ribbon cutting for Wednesday, October 4th for the new Washington Trust Bank, which is located at 732 Tioga Avenue. So I knew that it was moving along, gangbusters, and it's supposed to be open this fall, and with the scheduled ribbon cutting for October 4th, which is good news. The Washington Trust is a well-known bank, one of the oldest ones in Rhode Island for sure, and possibly the country. So they're coming to Coventry, just another choice for our residents. Number 2, the sewer work and the curbing and the sidewalks are coming along on Arnold Road. I know it's been a long process, but it's I think, Mr. McGee, getting near the end as far as they're getting close to Tioga Avenue, aren't they? Coming down Arnold, and I know it all has to be paved, but as far as the curbing goes,
Curbing just started, heading toward New on the Turnpike.
it's going back that way.
Going that way.
Isn't the one side done?
Down to the causeway, yes, Johnson Boulevard, and they're
Okay,
doing
but it's the
other
other side going up. All right, it's proceeding along then, coming along, yeah, scheduled possibly by
Substantial
end of
completion
fall?
Substantial completion by the end of the year, with final completion next spring.
On everything or the paving?
Just the final course of paving and
Okay.
the landscaping.
All right, well, very good. And again, I know it's tough on traffic, so if travelers can pick another route, we'd help the construction people, our law enforcement officers, and of course yourselves trying to get from point A to point B. Lastly, I know that the school department physical plant. Mr. Jason Martin are preparing the former Oak Haven School for locating the vehicle maintenance department and some of the school vehicles, not the school buses, but that's in the works, is it not, Mr. Waters? And it's coming along.
It
I know the fences have been ordered of Ventura.
They're looking at different vendors for prefabricated garage attachment.
Okay.
Building.
All right. But that should be done before the fall, I would
That's all right,
assume.
yep.
Right, okay, very good. Well, that's my report for District 4 then. A lot of happenings. All right, so next we have School Department report. Mr. Pearson, might you be the committee member giving the report? I guess good, don't I?
I might.
You might be. All right, well, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Just a few things. You stole some of my thunder too, Mr. Shiv.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. And just one thing that's not on my list, but August 30th is the first day of school, so next week,
August 30th.
for everyone's information. First thing on my report here, which I have to hold up because I'm tall. We're proud to introduce new administrators to Coventry Public Schools. At the Allen Sean Feinstein Middle School, we have Mr. Joseph Lucian, who is our new principal. Mrs. Azzy Norbalucci is our assistant principal, and Mrs. Lisa Goodwin is the other assistant principal. At Tyoke Elementary, we've appointed Mr. Dominic Giusti. He has joined us as the new principal there. And finally, Mr. Tim Chase, a Coventry resident, has been appointed as the assistant principal at Coventry High School. And to touch on the topic you just talked about, the move of the bus depot from the former Wood Street location to an area behind the annex is nearly complete. The parking area for the buses has been fenced in. And they are locating an office for first student inside the one of the rooms in the annex. The move of the Coventry physical plant from Wood Street to the Oak Haven School is in progress, as you reported. The proposed timeline for the move to be completed is actually beginning of December. That's when we hope to have everything wrapped up. Next item on the agenda, we received a letter from Dr. Josephine Saltzman of Ocean State Analytical Services on July 28th, indicating that the radon levels in all of our schools, which are tested regularly, they fall well below the EPA action level. The other required indoor air quality tests conducted in all of our schools have come back normal. The reason we bring this up is it's been an issue in some of the schools in Rhode Island. They've had some bad air quality reports, and we just wanted to let you know that Coventry schools are coming back in good shape. And finally, other thing to note is we've adjusted the start time and end times of our elementary schools and the middle school by about 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the school. And we did this to ensure the safe dismissal procedures at the middle school. We found that students were getting out of class before all of the buses had arrived, and it created an atmosphere that was a little challenging to supervise. We have shared the new times with the community in late June, and they are posted on our website if you're interested in more information. And that's all I have today.
Okay, any questions of the council? Mr. Pearson? If not, thank you for the report, and good luck again with the upcoming school year.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, if I could ask the approval of the council as requested to me, if we could move item agenda C1, the resolution appointing Tasha Fizier as our tax assessor, up to now, before we get into the presentation of the 2017 Hazard Mitigation Plan update. Any objection to that, so that Mrs. Vizier and I believe her family is here? Is that correct?
Well, they were gonna come, but I have a 5-year-old and she was temperamental today, so.
I gotcha. I got grandkids that way, and my kids used to be. Not that they aren't
I ran
now.
all the way home and
Got it.
said no.
All right. Well, we have the matter in front of us. And Mrs. George, would you read that then? And C1?
Be it resolved by the Town Council of the Town of Coventry that pursuant to the provisions of the Town Charter, Article 10, Section 10.30, the Town Manager, with the Town Council approval, hereby appoints Tasha Vizier as the tax assessor of the Town of Coventry, effective Monday, August 21, 2017, at 8:30 a.m.
Mr. President, if I might.
Yes, sir.
I would just like to
Tebow.
formally introduce Ms. Vizier to the council and give a very brief bio.
Yes, if you would, please. Yeah, great.
Tasha started with the town on December 5th, 2016 as the assistant tax assessor. Prior to that, she worked for Vision Government Solutions from 2000 until her time when she started here. Vision's actually the assessing platform we use, so she was well versed in it when the day she walked in the door. Her last position was that of implementations manager, so she has a lot of experience with the program. She's a graduate of Rhode Island College, holds International Association of Assessing Officers certifications, completed one Rhode Island certification, currently working on her second one. She's a member of other professional organizations as well, and she volunteers for several nonprofits around the state. She'll replace Ray Beatty. Ray was hired initially by us to be our tax appraiser. On departure of the previous tax assessor, he stepped up to the role of interim tax assessor. Ray will go back to his role as the town appraiser.
Okay. Well, thank you. Any comments from members of the council? Anything at all?
Mr. President, if I may,
Yes, Mr. Waters.
in the time that Tasha has worked with the town, I've been very impressed with the quality of her work. In particular, I noticed that she takes the time during the day to meet with residents and make sure they fully understand any issues that she needs to explain to them or questions. Sometimes exhaustively so, but she makes sure that they understand. And she does an excellent job following up with residents on the phone and maintaining her composure as well. So she's
That's good.
an excellent representative of the town.
Well, that's great news. And that all occurring where we had our major reevaluation, we're getting through that with the
We are.
changes. Okay, I know it hasn't been easy.
Well,
It never is after a 9-year clip.
It never is. However, coming from a revale company, I worked there for 16 years, so
Oh,
I've
okay.
seen the market go up, I've seen the market come down. We've completed in the years hundreds and hundreds of revaluations, and my number was always on the front page for taxpayers to give me a call. So I think why I spend time with the taxpayers, I think it's important for them to understand like why the revale happened, and
Right.
they're not appealing their taxes. And that's oftentimes they come in and they say, I want to appeal my taxes, and I say, no, no, no. You want to appeal your assessment, right? My job is to defend the value if I can, but their job is to also prove to me why it's wrong. And I've seen many taxpayers rescind their appeal, once they go online and they take a look and see what the market's doing.
Good.
Not all, but.
Not all. You never get all, but that's great news. And again, I've heard nothing but good regarding Mrs. Vizier. And I just wanted a chance to meet your husband and your daughter. But that's all right. It'll happen later on. So, unless there's any questions further of the council, I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution. And a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Well, congratulations. And again, thanks for your good work, and hopefully you'll be with us for many years.
I hope so. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And you definitely brighten up the town hall.
Hey.
You too, Eddie.
Oh, yeah, you're good. You're in the corner over there.
Yeah, that's what I like.
Oh, you're in the back corner, Ed.
I
know. Thanks, sir.
We'll come to the foundation then. All right. All right. Well, thank you for allowing us to move that up. Then, now we have number 7 on the agenda, presentation of the 2017 Hazard Mitigation Plan Update. And I guess we have the manuals that were delivered to us, one in the folder and one hard copy with the manual. So, Mr. Waters, would you entertain a start? The process on
Absolutely.
this?
I'd like to introduce, well, our chief of police, everybody knows, but
Okay.
Mr. LaPrab is our EMA, our deputy EMA director.
Okay.
And Chris, I'm sorry, I forget your last name.
Lord.
Laura, that's right, okay. Ms. Laura, who's with VHB, our hazard mitigation consultant, who's been working with the town on this plan that's before you. Just so you all know, they have hard copies of what you put together.
That was the plan, thanks, that's good.
So that plan is working.
We hope that we're here to actually field any questions you might have. I'll take those questions down, try and get you the best answer we can in the time allotted. We've been working Carissa hard to get this plan going. We need it updated, so.
Well, I know the manuals are pretty detailed, and I know we all read the introduction and summary. I believe we all have. We understand the, the intent. I don't know if you want to put it in a nutshell beyond the 2 pages we read. Otherwise, we could open it up for any individual specific questions, I suppose.
You know, just from the perspective of the EMA director, it was one of the things when I took over as EMA director that came onto my plate. The really important part of hazard mitigation is going through the process here, and Chris has sort of guided us through that process. And then once it's finalized, it needs to go to REMA and then to FEMA. And then once that's approved by FEMA, we're eligible for funding for hazard mitigation grant funding. That's one of the important things to us. In the process, again, I think we found through the process we addressed, we're in the process of addressing a lot of things, and some new things came up, but I think we were satisfied that nothing really surprised us. You know, a lot of stuff about flooding, preparing for blizzards and things like that. So.
And I'll just put before the council, this is not being adopted by the town tonight.
Right.
It will come back before the town on the meeting on the 11th, I believe, for adoption. So if you don't have questions tonight and you still want to go through it, you can send your questions to me and I'll forward them on to Carissa and Ray. If you have questions tonight or comments tonight, of course, they'll take them as well.
Just on the September 11th, we'll bring it to you for final approval to send it to FEMA, and then once it's approved by FEMA, we'll come back to you for full adoption.
Is it FEMA first or REMA?
REMA first.
All right, because you said FEMA.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Ultimately, FEMA's the higher tier.
I understand that. So once we hopefully will approve it, it goes to REMA, Rhode Island Emergency Management Agency, right? And then federal. And that's obviously a good goal. I have a question, is this brand new, or have we had a plan in?
We have had a plan.
Okay, this is just an update?
It's every 5 years they update
Every
it.
5 years, okay.
So the previous architects were Mr. Peabody and Mr. Sprague.
Got
They
it.
had done a lot of work on the original plan. It's over 100 pages. It's pretty comprehensive. And
Yes,
I think with Carissa's assistance, we've improved it.
okay, because I mean, it looks like it's well laid out, fairly clear, very detailed. From what I didn't read it paid cover to cover, that's for darn sure. We got it Friday afternoon, busy weekend too.
We sat through a lot of EMA meetings.
Right.
Carissa kept our attention for an hour or more.
And is it Ms. Lord?
Yes.
Okay, are you VHB? Let me just.
VHB is the name of the consulting group that I work for.
And what does that stand for, could I ask?
Sure, it's sort of irrelevant at this point, but it was the name of the founders. It was Vanessa Hangson Breslin.
Well, that's relevant.
So it's a mouthful.
But they're no longer
It's no
around.
longer known as that
Got
because it is a mouthful. You may see that on some
Okay.
legal disclaimers, but it's VHB is what we go by. We're an engineering firm up in Providence, Rhode Island. And I've been doing hazard mitigation plans throughout the state.
Now, what's Watertown, Massachusetts? Is that where they started?
That's where the headquarters are?
Okay, all right, because I saw that.
Yep.
But you also have the Rhode Island office.
We have a Providence office is
Got
where
it.
most of our
Okay.
Rhode Island business comes from. You noted that the plan was organized. I can't take all credit for that. There is a state guideline on what should be included. FEMA has standards on what should be included, so we tried to cover all of those. Just give you a quick timeline on the turnaround, what to expect. We would like the council's blessing to send this up to the state, put on an EMA for review. They're looking at 45 to 60 days before we hear back from them, address their edits or questions, and then goes back up to FEMA. It goes up to the next level once the state is okay. And that again is 45 to 60 day turnaround depending on if there are disasters and what else is on their schedule.
So that's to qualify for grants?
Yes.
But
Yep.
assuming the worst case scenario, neither approve it, we still go with it, right? Is that it?
We'll make sure
Yeah.
that it gets approved.
Well, I know
Yeah.
that, I know that. So they best approve it, but it's our plan anyhow, right now.
Absolutely.
All right, that's what I
Absolutely.
figured, yeah. I'm being a little facetious, but questions of the council? Okay, Mr. McGee.
We're going for grant money, obviously. I'm looking at the flood mitigation, the flood-prone drainage systems, and there's a lot of good ideas. First of all, I appreciate all the work put into this, because it is quite detailed, and I have thumbed through most of it, but you've got different projects and different cost estimates on these projects. Are these something that we're going to be held to once it's accepted, or is it just suggestions because obviously it is a money issue, you know, I mean,
Exactly.
we have a lot of projects that need to be done in town, but by having this plan, it's just suggested to eliminate or to decrease the flood issues that we have. Is that correct in saying that?
Yep.
A lot of times when we've gone through this process, we basically answered our own questions and said funding wasn't available to do that, but we still have it in a sort of a to-do file going forward.
And the funding amounts in here are very ballpark, but they help you understand when a grant becomes available, if you're going to go for it. Do you have small projects, large projects, jumbo projects, and by putting a dollar figure, that helps you sort the project.
Can you tell me like what kind of grant money by us doing this, updating this hazard mitigation, does that make us very kind of extra grants, or are we eligible for
So
anything
in order,
different?
and if you
Use
guys
the
want
mic.
to chime in on this as well.
If we don't have a plan in place, we're ineligible for federal hazard mitigation plan.
Pre-disaster funding
Pre-disaster.
from FEMA.
After, we're still eligible to get funding after a disaster if we submit for it, but
Oh, I guess.
This is the first step, you have to have this plan.
Please use the mic.
No one can hear you.
I'm sorry.
Please use the mic.
We need this as a stepping stone to get further on the FEMA plan when something bad happens. Without this plan, we don't get talked to, so.
Others, Mrs. Colson, do you have a question?
Yeah, I
Two?
do. Well, I read it, the whole thing, and I thought it was very interesting. It's kind of a, I wouldn't call it a precursor to the comp plan, but it certainly ties into the comp plan,
It should.
and it should. And of course, we're hoping for the comp plan to be done in the next 2 years. So we won't talk about that. But anyway, and I've got my little, so you know I read it, okay? But there, I don't know if you want, I don't suppose we want to go through this page by page with all my questions, so I could kind of go through some of them that I think are really important.
Please do.
But I have to tell you, I don't remember, and it probably happened, but did you all bid, a VHB, did you bid on doing this, and then the council,
the council approved it, I believe.
did we?
We did. There's a state MPA that has all the consulting companies that do this work.
Okay.
And we,
I think you
we did bring it to them.
you called a number of them.
We interviewed several.
Can I ask what we spent?
Total, it was around 25,000.
Okay.
18,000 of which is federally backed in a grant. So really, the town only put forth 6,000.
Maybe 6, okay.
We do have
Sorry,
to
I
get
apologize, I just don't remember this coming up. All right, good.
So that was a placeholder that was put in place by Mr. Peabody and Mr. Sprague a long time ago when it kind of held that grant funding. So we do have to get our plan in, I think it's
Because we're 2 years behind on
next
this,
year.
right?
We are,
Yeah.
February, so we do,
Okay.
time is of the essence to get it in.
Okay, so, yeah, definitely. On page 88, it says, having identified a range of appropriate mitigation actions, the Tiverton Hazard Mitigation Committee.
That's already been fixed.
Is that supposed to be Coventry?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Just
Good
wondering.
catch.
Thank you. Okay, so there's a few things that, Oh, yeah, well, I was going to start. Oh, yeah, okay, on that page also, the following were considered when ranking the actions. The fourth one down says political climate. I'm not real sure what that means on that page.
Yeah.
I think when we talk about political climate,
Maybe.
it has to do with how the town is feeling towards certain actions. If something is being pushed through by various departments, that may be prioritized a little bit more because it's more popular, it's sort of what's current. That sort of political climate has nothing to do with a larger political
Well,
climate.
could you, personally, do you think you could find another way of phrasing that? I don't know how everybody else feels, but that just kind of bugs me.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah,
I mean, so,
We're open to suggestions.
yeah, we're open to suggestions.
Oh, yeah.
okay.
And we would appreciate your comments also, email to,
If we have all your emails, that would be good.
I'll take care of that.
Okay. Yeah, you can
Because
send
I
it
know I have
to
your
Mr. Wise.
email from July, or is everybody on that from July?
We email all the time together.
The one that where you sent this out the first time?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yep. If not, you can just send them to Mr. Watterson.
Okay.
He knows where we are.
Going back to page 7, there's just a few things in here that kind of caught my eye, and I don't want to belabor it tonight because there's a lot of little pieces just questionable, like the pie chart. And it talks about economic development's been limited by the availability of sewer facilities extending to all parts of town. Well, that's probably never going to happen, all parts of town. I mean, I can't imagine spending the money to go up to green. You know, but does that make a difference in a hazard mitigation report? I know this is the land use section, and also I would wonder if we should put something in here about Pachillos, which is the Superfund site.
We talked about the chills. I mean, that's a federal one.
Yeah, definitely. It was the first Superfund site in the country. Oh, and Arnold Road with the landfill. But I don't know if I really need you to, I mean.
If I could just comment on the sewer facilities part. I think the thinking behind that was so readers of the plan will know that the town may not develop all the way out to the western half. So by saying there is a limiting factor in there, it's not encouraging expansion of the sewers.
Well, there could be parts of the eastern side that aren't going to get sewers either because it might just be cost prohibitive, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, but I think they was just identifying that sewer facilities are a limiting factor in development, future development.
And on page, there's something on 9, but on 10, it caught my eye that it says, development trends since 2010 plan. In western Coventry, 10 wind turbines have been built in areas that were already commercial or industrial zone. Well, that's wrong. The 10 turbines are not in a commercial and or industrial zone.
What zone are they in, do you know?
Agricultural.
Agricultural.
So, that personally,
Yes, no.
that's one of my things. Okay. From Western, is Jim Katie going to substitute for Bob Mann?
Yeah.
Oh, good,
This
good.
came in after he was named.
Excellent.
We'll change his name.
That would be good, just to get him up and running. There's smaller things that I have. The hazards ranking on page 18. Dam failure varies, could be high. Seems to me if we're worried about dam failures and considering the discussions we've had, Chief, don't you think that's a high, not a, could be?
No, I don't think it's a high.
You don't think so?
I think it varies from dam to dam. DEM does inspections on the dams and they provide us reporting. I'm pretty comfortable with some of the dams and the work that's been done with them. They're always a concern in a really, 2010 flood.
We do have some that have been addressed. We have
Right.
one that's coming before us tonight to be
Right, yeah.
repaired. And so there are some that are in great condition, some that are in poor condition.
Because I think somewhere else in here, it talks about the gates, you know how we've had trouble with the gates at the dams. Then it says, And sort of kind of contradicts on page 23 at the top, under dam failure description. Dams are classified as high hazard, significant high hazard, or low, not based on whether a dam is deemed safe or unsafe. So that's kind of, to me, that sounds kind of contradictory. Is how they're rated, the classifications are not on safe or unsafe?
Yes. So when DEM classifies their dams, they're the ranking that I think is the most public is the high hazard, significant hazard, and low hazard dams.
Okay.
And that is based on the infrastructure that is downstream of the dam. If there's a big, city center downstream of a dam, that's gonna be a high hazard dam, regardless of if it's 20 feet concrete or just an earthen sort of a dome that's fallen apart. So depending, that can always change. What doesn't change is what's downstream of the dam. So when we talk about in this plan the high hazard, significant, and low hazard dam, we're not talking about the condition of the dam.
Okay, we're talking about the effect.
Yes, the effect, which is why when
Okay.
we talk about the, if it's gonna be a big problem, we consider the condition of the dam and if it's gonna affect a lot of people. You could have a small dam that could break or could be breached and it could just flood a wooded area.
So RIDEM is the one who comes in and inspects it?
Yes, ma'am.
They do
Okay.
provide those updates. Council gets, from the town manager, a whole bunch of people in town get those updates.
Okay,
It's important to remember on that too, we don't own all the dams, they are privately owned.
No, we don't.
So we work with like Kent County or the Tucket YMCA on their previous dam work. They did a lot of work with the dam of Harkingham.
all right. That's not finished yet, though.
No, so we had a meeting with them, a good meeting. And like if we get this passed and through, we can maybe get them on that federal look at some funding to help them.
Okay. There was a part in here about dry hydrants. Since Western's the one that usually has the dry hydrants, I know we've already got a couple in. In here it also said $10,000, I think, is the estimated cost for 3 dry hydrants. It's in that chart.
Chief
Brown,
Yeah, Chief Brown was in that meeting. I think that's from him.
Yeah, we have 2 hydrants in, dry hydrants in, and we're looking at more, and of course, oh, there it is. I know the fire department out there surveyed 11 sites, and depending on the location would depend on the cost. So this cost estimate of $10,000 might be kind of low. If you're looking at add 3 more hydrants in the rural areas of town. We have one on Hopkins Hollow that was paid for by a resident who actually lives on the property, and he put it in. And then the one on Hammett Road was DEM grant funded, and I think that came to like $2,500. That was a less expensive one because the town was already doing, no, the one on Log Bridge is $2,500. I don't know what the one on Hammett cost, but I think if we're looking at it, we might want to kind of think a little bit higher. But definitely, this is something, as you know, to talk to Western Coventry about, to the fire department, because they are actively seeking grants on their own, because obviously they're independent of the town. So, and I talked to a board member today, just because I knew we talked about that. I have a few others, but you know what? I'll send you guys an email, because I don't want to take up too much time. And I know Mrs. Bacon and Greg and other people might have questions too.
Anyone else?
I just have a couple.
Yeah.
Hi, on page 29, right near the bottom, under 531, 2015, you list flooding and pockets of flash flooding. Lansdowne Road near Miantonomo Drive was closed due to flooding. Why is that listed in here? That's in Warwick and Governor Francis Farms. Yes.
That's obviously a mistake.
Maybe that's in Tiverton.
Well, no, I'm trying to think, that may come from, It may have been a flooding issue, so just to let you know where some of this data comes from, this stuff is, it's from the National Weather Service.
Okay.
So there may have been an event in Coventry, and then they'll talk about flooding incidences nearby during that flooding. So I'll go back and see if there's another reference we can put in that's maybe a little bit closer.
Oh, okay.
But that's all from the National Weather Service, because they don't go specifically necessarily to Coventry.
Okay.
So it'd be the general area.
Oh, all right.
So I'll make that more clear.
Okay, thank you. And on page 43, under the lightning and its impact, I just wanted to know, is this an increased risk? I don't see you mentioning any of it. The solar plants that are going to be, or that are going to be proposed in green, solar panels up on rooftops and wind turbines, is that any a risk?
For lightning?
For lightning?
The lightning strikes.
We can look at that. I'm not aware that it is.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, I'm not aware that it's an increased risk for the town, but it may be an opportunity for the town to educate their residents on a potential increase in risk. And, you know, we have a section here where we talk about educating the residents on a lot of different hazards, and that might be something we can talk about, is if they're going to do private solar or wind turbines, then to make sure they have the appropriate protections.
Okay.
So we can definitely reference that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Anyone else? Before we move on to the next matter, anyone? Well, again, it looks like largely you've done a great job. Hopefully come back on the 11th and with any amendments, and then we'll hopefully approve it and get moving along. Because it is a plan. No plan is perfect. And hopefully it's much better than we had. And I just wanted to ask one more question, is that, Mrs. Lloyd, are you working with other cities and towns, or is it just right now Coventry? Or,
Right now, I'm working with Coventry.
Right now. Have you worked, are other plans going right now for the other cities and towns at this
Yes.
same time?
Yep,
So
it's throughout the state, and
I see.
every town is on a 5-year cycle.
Okay.
So
I
some
thought it
towns
might
are
be
more
that.
advanced than others. Don't worry, if you're not gonna, the state isn't getting inundated with 17 plans tomorrow.
Okay.
Everyone's on their own individual 5-year cycle.
Very good. Very good. Well, all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you all for coming out tonight. And thanks for the good work. Okay. Next, number 8, update on sewer facilities plan. Mr. Waters and Mr. Nichols, I guess, will.
Sure, this item was put on the agenda at the request of Councilman Bacon. Tonight we have Mr. Nichols and Tim, help me with your last name.
Guglielmo.
Here to talk a little bit, and because Councilman Baker was not here when the town adopted the sewer facilities plan.
Actually, this was the plan that I was referring to, you know, for September, when more residents could be here. That's what we had discussed in September.
Oh, we discussed it this week.
Yeah, we discussed it, so the residents on Coventry Drive could come, they could be here.
Okay, well, we have our consultants
Sorry.
here tonight, so
Yep.
if
I mean, I left,
you guys could please come up and give an update as to where the sewer plan is currently right now, what's happening with
The overall plan would be, advantageous.
Keep it light.
And then specifically, I didn't see Coventry down Coventry Drive, and I got some residents in my district, I think most are on Miss Bacon's, but we know the street. Basically, I think it would help if update, you're here tonight, and an update on the overall sewer facilities plan.
Sure.
If you could, sort of.
Again, Kent Nichols with Weston Sampson, with me is Tim.
Good evening.
Most of you probably remember me now. I've been working with the town on the sewer program for quite a while. Jim Spearman and I were just relating earlier, trying to compare which of us has worked longer on this. He's got me beat by quite a while. No question. So I do understand the issue with Coventry Drive, and I do think that's something we should spend some time talking about, clearly with both the residents and having the town council be very comfortable with that. And I agree, that's a good format having a work session for that would be great.
Thank you.
So if you see something in what I say, I'm going to give more general update, and try to stay on course with that.